We keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and the NBA Finals have been decided. We have a new champion in the NBA in the Boston Celtics, hanging up another banner this coming up season as they take the series in 5 games over the Dallas Mavericks, winning in Game 5, 106-88. Jaylen Brown, your series MVP, the Bill Russell MVP in the NBA Finals. And for Jayson Tatum, this now cements himself amongst the elites. There's no more questions, no more doubts about where he belongs with some of the stars in this league, and putting himself in that history book as a champion, and everything that happened with Mazzulla now becoming the head coach, and Brad Stevenson going up to the front office and building this team and making a trade with Memphis for Marcus Smart, and obviously everything that happened with Kyrie over the years, losing an NBA Finals. So many things in this story for the Boston Celtics, for them to exercise so many demons, for them to finish their story. It was an impressive run throughout the entire NBA season for the Boston Celtics, an impressive run in the first round, in the second round, in the semis, in the conference finals, and in the NBA Finals. This was a organization championship. They had stars, and their stars didn't even put on these crazy performances that we saw, let's say, for example, on the offensive side, like Luka was doing for Dallas. But every game had their own Celtic doing something special or doing something to just put them over the edge. When they didn't have a lead, it never felt like that lead was going to last long for Dallas. You knew they were going to play defense. You knew they were going to put up 3-pointers. You knew that they were going to be overwhelming for the Mavericks if they played their best basketball. And that's exactly what they did. Before we continue on with Boston and crowning them and giving them their moment, the Dallas Mavericks, it's an interesting story for Dallas because, you know, everybody makes jokes about Luka and his body and that, you know, gif about the beer after they had won the conference finals. And that might be part of the situation, right? Because the only game they won is when we saw a different level of effort from Luka. And Luka had to be special this entire series for the Mavericks to come away with a championship. But I don't think it's an effort thing. I know it's not an effort thing. We know how much Luka cares. But there's a certain level of sacrifice, a certain level of, for lack of a better term, craziness that these professional athletes in all pro sports do to themselves mentally and physically to become champions, to do the thing that they haven't been doing before, to do the thing that is needed of them, to take that next step, to achieve that goal. There's a reason why there's only X amount of champions in history, X amount of people that win in any field in life, any career field. There's only so many positions that people have held because it is such a specialty. It is such a rarity. It is such a sacrifice. There is such a tough road for so many people to get to those moments. Boston went through theirs. The entire organization of Boston for the Celtics went through those moments. For Dallas, there have been plenty of moments like that. But for Luka, it's all on him when it comes to the spotlight. People are going to dog Kyrie and then it's all the different players and lack of help that Luka might have had and the road Dallas took to get there and everything over the last few years. But it doesn't change the fact that the narrative, one way or the other, had they pulled some kind of crazy miracle and won this series, had from Jump Street they won this series, all the praise would have gone to Luka and all the blame is going to go to him. Now, I think for the most part, people aren't piling on and going overboard. But yeah, it's going to take him doing something different. He's going to need help. Everybody needs help. There's going to have to be a good roster built. You're going to need luck. You're going to need health. Everybody knows all the variables and all the things that are out of your control that need to go your way in order for you to win a championship. But for Dallas, I think it really comes down to Luka has to do something special. Luka has to do something different. Luka has to take himself to a different place mentally and physically that he is not at right now. We're seeing what he does right now. What if to unlock even more greatness, if there is more greatness in him. And I believe so, him being so young and still feels like there's so much untapped potential. If just a little bit more, whether it's effort, intensity, mindfulness, whether it's nutrition, the way you take care of your diets, your body, your mind, your off season, what you do during your season, how do you keep yourself healthy? If that just levels raises a little bit, what can that mean for his future, for his legacy? These are all things now that he has answered after this series. And that's not what's going to be the case for the Celtics, who now have this championship. Al Horford now has an NBA final. Shout out to Al Horford, being in the league so long. To get to that moment, to finally have that big moment, that achievement, that goal, checked off, the ultimate professional, finally gets his. I think it's the one thing all pro athletes, anybody says when you do something hard, it's not guaranteed you're going to get here again. For the Celtics, they have a great chance of repeating. They have a great chance of getting back there. They have a great chance of dominating the East. They have a nice window. They have a lot of things going their way. And they made the right moves, like bringing in Jrue Holiday. So they have a window, but they seized an opportunity that mattered the most. When it's there, when opportunity knocks, all of this is preparation, getting ready for the moment meeting you. That's all luck is. And that is what happened with these teams that win championships. Look back to that Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks series. The difference of legacies on who won that championship. You got to capitalize when you get there. So for the Celtics, for Tatum, for Brown, for that front office, for that coaching staff, for that fan base, that organization, they finally capitalized and seized the moment. And quite frankly, did it in dominant fashion and didn't look back. And that's awesome for them. And that's great narrative for the league, long-term storytelling. It wasn't a great finals. There were a lot of interesting moments, but it wasn't the most fun of finals. And now for Dallas, they have to answer these questions. Kyrie and his legacy. Luka and his legacy. These are all great players that have done great things, including winning championships for Kyrie. But these stories change when you get to these moments. They drive and they form the structure in which we are going to tell their stories throughout generations as sports fans. So for good and bad, that's what happened in this NBA Finals. That's what happens for any championship. And a lot of legacies, a lot of answers were cemented as the Boston Celtics raise another banner in their franchise and win the 2023-2024 NBA Finals in 5 games as they beat the Dallas Mavericks in Game 5, 106-88. Jaylen Brown, your NBA Finals MVP. Let us know your thoughts. What did you think about this year's NBA Finals? What do you think about next year's Finals? What are some of the most exciting news and moves that can happen in the NBA this offseason? We're on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com, the Sports Cubicle. Check us out. We have Lucha Dog gear. Look at it. You can see it right here. Check us out. Check us out, luchadog.com, if you want to support us and the book dropping this summer. And, of course, make sure you're checking out the amazing work being done. Ship, Heartland Signal, WCPT 820. You're listening to the Sports Cubicle here on WCPT 820 AM. I'm Mike Mercado.